Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have today, guys, it is going to be another transfer rumour roundup video, and in this episode today we have some very juicy transfer rumours to go ahead and talk over. We have quite a few clubs who are interested in the same player, so we could have some drama going on and some pretty big players being linked to championship clubs at this point in time. So as always, I would love to get your guys' opinions on what you think of all the current championship rumours in the comments down below. And as well as that, when you guys will be watching this, the fixtures will have been released for the championship this season in the 2017/18 season. When I'm recording this video, I'm currently recording it before they have been released, so obviously let me know down below if you are happy with who your club got on the first day of the season. Let me know down below if you are feeling confident or not going into that first game. Also as well, I must apologise if my voice does sound a little bit off in this video. I've got a little bit of a cold at the moment, so apologies if my voice does sound a little bit croaky at times throughout this video, but I do want to bring this video out because we have quite a bit of transfer news going on in the championship at the moment. And make sure you subscribe for regular championship content, and also as well, make sure you do leave a like if you do go on to enjoy the video. It is always massively appreciated. But apart from that, let's get into talking about some completed transfers. So our first completed transfer to go ahead and talk over is that of Declan Rose, who is coming to Preston North End. So of course, myself being a Preston North End fan, I am actually very happy with this transfer. We were in need of a goalkeeper towards the tail end of last season. Chris Maxwell started to get a little bit complacent and his performances did start to have a dip, so I am glad that Declan Rose has been brought in to be competition for Chris Maxwell. Going into the start of the season, I would expect Rudd to be our #1 keeper, but that battle between those two will be a good one to watch next season in my opinion. Garner has also completed his transfer to Ipswich Town. We did mention this in the last video as a transfer rumour, but that has now been confirmed and he has made the move to Ipswich Town, I think in the region of about £1 million going from Rangers. So I already said in my last video what I think Ipswich will get out of Garner. I'll just reiterate myself a little bit in this one. I think he'll be a good player for them. I don't think he'll score tons of goals for them, but I think in terms of being fitting into a Mick McCarthy side, I think he'll make a very good target man for them. Sort of like what I suppose Daryl Murphy was a bit like for them. And I think that if a partnership can form between Garner and David McGoldrick, that might not be a bad one for Ipswich next season. Burton Albion have also been a club who has been dipping into the transfer market recently, and they've actually broken their club transfer record in signing Liam Boyce. He's coming over from the Scottish League, so there is a little bit of a gamble signing someone from the Scottish League, but his record speaks for itself. Last season he managed to go ahead and bag 23 goals in the Scottish League, so that's no easy feat, and if he can transfer that form he showed last season in the Scottish League over to the Championship, Burton Albion could have uncovered a little bit of a gem in that one. I believe he signed for something in the region of 600 to 800k, so that might not be a bad bit of business from Burton Albion. And then finally, Cardiff have also completed the signing of Lee Kemp, of course. This one, not really out of the blue, you know, it's Lee Kemp signing for Neil Warnock, so that's not really, you know, too shocking. You know, Neil Warnock does like to have a treasury of players he's already worked under, and Lee Kemp is one of those players, you know, he's already played under Neil Warnock, so that'll be an interesting one to see how he gets on. Cardiff fans, let me know down below what you've actually thought of your transfer business so far, because Cardiff have had quite a few arrivals come in this season, and with them finishing last season fairly strong, next season who knows what could happen with them. So now guys, into some of the transfer rumours which are currently circulating around the Championship. So the first one going around the Championship at the moment is Massimo Luongo, who is being linked with a move to Nottingham Forest, of course. Currently playing at QPR. He's a really funny player, Massimo Luongo. I think he is an Australian international, and I'm not seeing all too much of him when he has been playing for QPR, so I would be interested to see what QPR fans actually make of him and whether you think losing him would be a loss, but I did see a lot of him in League One when he was at Swindon Town. You know, that was the season Preston got promoted, and he was a key man for Swindon in that season. Really was pulling the strings. I don't think he's really showed his full potential of what he can do at QPR so far, but it would fit into the model that Nottingham Forest are seemingly going down at this point in time. You know, looking to branch out into a lot of youth players at the moment. I think Mark Warburton has reportedly been a fan of Luongo for some time now, so this could be a transfer I could see happening. It's just a case of how much QPR would actually want for him. Daryl Murphy is the next player who is being linked to a couple of Championship Championship clubs, of course, currently playing for Newcastle United. When he did sign for Newcastle, it caught me a little bit off guard, you know. I couldn't really see Daryl Murphy at the age he's currently at making the transition from Championship football up to the Premier League when that was inevitable, that Newcastle were always going to get promoted. So it's no surprise that he is being linked back to the Championship, and the clubs who are reportedly interested are Reading and Birmingham. Now, Daryl Murphy, he is a good player, you know. Newcastle didn't really utilise him to his full potential because there were other players in his path, you know, players like Dwight Gale, who stole the show for Newcastle, and Mitrovic as well. They had a couple of other players playing in those positions, but towards the tail end of that season, Daryl Murphy really did start to come through fruition, and I think if a team does play the right style, he's sort of in that similar mould to Jan Kermigan at Reading, so that could be a good signing for Reading if it does come through, but I would expect Daryl Murphy to be on the move this summer. And then from one old player to seemingly another, we have Phil Jagielka, who is currently being linked with a move back to Sheffield United. This, in my opinion, would be one hell of a capture for Sheffield United. The amount of experience, and of course he did used to play for them, this would just be monumental for them. Of course, he already gets what the club's about. He was brought through their youth academy, brought through the ranks. He's played a lot of games for them. I think he left in 2007, and prior to that, he'd only played for Sheffield United. However, in a recent interview in TalkSport, Jagielka currently said that there was nothing in the rumours, so will it come true? I'm not so sure, you know. There will be a question of wages and a whole load of other factors, but seemingly it does look like he will be leaving Everton in this summer. Will it be Sheffield United as his destination? I'm not so sure. I know though that Sheffield United fans, I'm sure, would love to get this guy back. And then to a youth talent currently playing for Liverpool who was on loan at Barnsley last season, that of course being Ryan Kent, who is currently being linked with a move to Middlesbrough and Bournemouth as well. Of course, this guy impressed at Barnsley last season, but the current price tag being talked about for the 20-year-old is around about £6 million. I mean, I think he scored 3 goals in the Championship last season, and I know it's not, I shouldn't be foolish enough to just judge a player on their stats, because stats don't really paint a full picture of what a player is capable of doing. I know Barnsley fans highly rated Ryan Kent, but is he worth splashing £6 million on? I'm not so sure if I'd be biting that bullet. But the two clubs currently interested, like I said, are Middlesbrough and Bournemouth. Would Middlesbrough fans be happy with Ryan Kent? Probably, for £6 million. I'm not so sure. And then to another youth talent who's currently being linked with a Championship club, that currently being Josh Harrop, who is being linked with a move to Preston North End. He has been heavily linked with a move to Preston North End, and has been for some time now, of course. If you're not aware of who Josh Harrop is, he's a 20-year-old who's come through the Manchester United Academy. He actually came on against Crystal Palace in their last game of the season and scored a pretty decent goal for the first team. So Preston fans have been getting quite excited about the possibility of Josh Harrop signing. Of course, he'd fit in with the Grayson mould of signing young players who are able to play in a number of different positions. However, there have also reportedly been some French clubs who are also interested in his signature, so I'm interested to see how this one will develop. And then to one of the really big transfer stories going around the Championship at this point in time, and one which is bound to stir up some controversy. That is Kyle Bartley, who is reportedly being interested by Middlesbrough and Leeds United. Of course, last season he was on loan at Leeds and was a staple in that back four. He was such a crucial player for how good at times Leeds were defensively, and it's no surprise that Leeds are going to want him back. However, the other club interested, Middlesbrough, it's also no surprise that they're interested in him, of course. He's worked under Gary Monk before at both Swansea and Leeds United, so it's no surprise he's wanting to take Bartley back with him this time to Middlesbrough. So what I would love to know from you guys is, in the end, where do you think Kyle Bartley will end up? Do you think he will end up at Middlesbrough, or will he go back to Leeds? Currently, the fees being talked about are upwards of £6 million for Kyle Bartley. So, I mean, he's an exceptional defender, but to be paying £6 million for a centre-back in the Championship, I mean, it's just crazy money in my opinion, but what do I know? I support Preston, who haven't broken the transfer record since, I think, 2002, which is pretty mental in itself. But Kyle Bartley, where will he end up? Guys, let me know down below. And then the final transfer rumour currently going around is Oliver Burke, who is currently being linked with a move to Sheffield Wednesday. The dynamic winger who, of course, last season was playing for Nottingham Forest for a short amount of time until Red Bull Leipzig did sign him, who are currently playing in the Bundesliga. I believe this one would be on a loan, but even so, that would be a phenomenal signing for Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, from what I saw of him when he was playing at Nottingham Forest, this guy's got one hell of a future ahead of him, and if he was to come back to the Championship, wherever he does end up at the end of this transfer window, he will be an absolute asset for them, because the blistering out amount of pace and coolness he has when he is in front of goal, if a team is able to unlock his full potential at this ripe young age, they could really be onto a winner. I also think he'd fit in well with Sheffield Wednesday, because seemingly going forward they don't have the most pace. I mean, when you look at their attacking plays, you know that out wide they got players like Adam Reach, Ross Wallace. Going forward, players like Gary Hooper, Jordan Rhodes, not really the paciest of players, so to add a new dynamic into that side like Oliver Burke could be a game changer for them. So there you have it, guys. That will wrap it up for this episode of the Transfer Rumour Roundup. Apologies if my voice has just sounded really shot in this video, but like I said, I do have a bit of cold at the moment and I wanted to bring this video to you guys today. So guys, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Let me know down below what you think of all of these transfer rumours and any other transfer rumours which I may have missed off. And also as well, let me know down below, what do you make of your club's first game of the season? I'd be interested to know. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, guys. So make sure you do leave a like if you have enjoyed the video. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for regular Championship content. Make sure you check out all the other links in the description down below. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.